Well, Nancy Richards is currently wrapping up her 320 kilometers of the Camino de Santiago, a pilgrimage in Spain. And it's a pilgrimage she undertook in order to raise funds for the Saki Bartman Center for Abused Women and Children. Nancy arrived in Santiago yesterday and is on her way to Finisterre. And we're going to cross live to her now for probably the last time. Nancy, are you there?
I am so here, and I think we could safely say it's a wrap.
I was going to say the finish line. How does it feel?
Actually, to be absolutely honest, I just wanted to turn around and go right back again. I felt, as we came into Santiago, I thought, oh no, it can't be over. It seems such a pity to finally have finished it and not be walking out. Anyway, I'm just in a little funny little place in Finisterre. We just got the bus down to Finisterre, which I think I told you means the end of the world. It's where St. James's body was technically washed up here, which is why sort of the closure really is here. But the finishing yesterday was really quite something. It was Sunday morning. We hadn't really anticipated we thought, well, we'll get in a little bit later and we'll get to the church maybe the next day. But around about sort of 10 o'clock in the morning, we thought, if we move, we can make the Pilgrim's Mass on Sunday at 12 o'clock. So the last 10 or so Ks, we sort of motored a bit, and with minutes to spare, we arrived at the cathedral, and within a few minutes they started. So we walked in with our backpacks. I mean, I have to say, very emotional. But anyway, we'll live to tell the tale. And they gave a wonderful mass for all the pilgrims. They say it's a pilgrim's mass because they read out the names of all the countries who've arrived before, and I'm pleased to say that South Africa was there along with Mexico and Colombia and Bolivia and all sorts of other places. And it was a beautiful, beautiful service. It was mostly in Spanish, so we were a little bit challenged with understanding a lot of it. But the singing was lovely. There was a little nun who stood in front of it seats 1,000 in the cathedral. So there was this little nun who led us in the chant, and we all sang Jubilate Deo together, and everybody just sort of burst into song. It was really quite spectacular. Sorry, I'm just moving in and out of this doorway because we're in a quiet little road, but they have what they do bread deliveries. Artisanal bread is delivered to all the houses. So it's the little pan vans that move up and down. Anyway, but the best thing about the service, or one of the most moving things about the service, was that they have a giant incense burner, which is called a botafumerio. And apparently back in the day when all the pilgrims arrived all sort of sweaty and leprous and, not very nice to know, they used to swing this giant incense burner from one side of the cathedral to the other. And they don't do it every time, but luckily we saw it drop from the ceiling, and they have a whole lot of attendants all in their hassocks who bring it down, and it swung and it swung, and people were sort of going, as it swung past, and eventually, when it finally came to a close and we were all covered in incense, everybody just applauded because it was so spectacular. To say that it was a moving experience would be, as I say, an understatement. And adding to that, at the end of the service, if you want to, you can walk up behind St. James's tomb, and you walk up, and it's called a hug for St. James. You hold his statue, and then you walk back down again. And it was really, really something. And I have to tell you that while we were in there, they have little lady chapels around, and I put in some money which lights an electronic candle for the Saki Bartman Center, and I felt that that was the right place to do that very thing.
Did you say lady chapels?
Was the wrap.
Nancy, did you say lady chapels?
Well, lady chapels, they're like little, I'm not quite sure what the ecclesiastical terminology is, but they're like little niches with the statue of different saints and the Virgin Mary, and so I did the one where the Virgin Mary was. And actually, talking of the saints, right down in the sort of the belly of the cathedral, which is so old, part of it goes back to the 12th century, and that it's being renovated, so it's quite breathtaking in itself. They had an exhibition, rather strangely, of sort of origami. They had all the saints made in paperwork, with all their different details, and that was quite a sort of an unexpected little bonus. And also, I suppose, maybe perhaps a little bit less unexpected, was as we were sitting in the service, all singing together and wishing each other peace, we met some of our friends, our sort of Camino family, who we'd seen on the way. There were two old boys just in the pew where we were standing, both of whom are called Bill. One was from California and one was from England, so we called them Double Bill. So we met with Double Bill, and then outside the cathedral in the big square, we met a group that we called the Pack. It was a guy from Poland and two girls that he'd sort of hooked up with. And it was like meeting the family. It was really quite something else. So that was very, very special.
And I didn't ask you along the way. Did you meet many South Africans?
Did we meet many?
South Africans along the way.
Actually, we did. In fact, yesterday we saw a young South African girl who did it all by herself, and she came into the town before Santiago, in fact, and she'd got lost in a forest. So I said to her, circles in a forest, eh? But she seemed quite cool and relaxed, and she was very, very pleased to have finished. And then earlier we met another couple of South Africans who were a bit disappointed. They said that they felt that it wasn't as sacred as they thought it would be. So I'm not sure how everybody reads sacred, but yes. For me it's been wonderful. And we met another girl who actually lives in Milan, but she comes from England originally, and we saw her last night. And she has walked, and this makes what we've done pale and insignificant. She's walked 1,000 kilometers.
Oh, wow.
She started at a place called Pau in France, and she was completely finished, but jubilant. I have never seen anybody so. She bought the T-shirt with a big arrow on it, with a big yellow arrow, which is, marks the way all along. And she was over the moon. I think she just felt that she had now arrived.
Absolutely, quite a feat. Nancy, would you encourage people to do the pilgrimage?
I would. I mean, why ever wouldn't you? But it's not. We've just met a lady now who walked from Santiago down to Finisterre. It took, I think she was maybe from Canada, but she'd just done another 4 days to get to Finisterre, which is about another 100 Ks. I think it's 90-odd Ks. And she said she feels it's enough now. You're tired, your body is tired. But it's an experience it's difficult to explain. But yes, absolutely, I would encourage everybody to do it. If you have the legs and you can,
yes,
you should.
So, Nancy, one high moment for us.
The best moment, my word, there have been so many. I think the best moment was actually arriving at the church in time for the Pilgrim's Mass, because we didn't think we were going to, and we thought, never mind, we'll perhaps try and get another service. But we got there and we walked up the steps, and there we were, and it was such a sort of closure and completion. My sister had said to me before I left, she said, take something for me. So I took a little piece of ribbon on my backpack, and I took a photograph of my backpack outside the church, and that was sort of like closure. And meeting up with all the people that we've met along the way. It's the people, I mean, everybody does this for sort of personal, spiritual reasons or whatever reasons, but just the people along the way. And right at the end, or I must just tell you this, right at the end, you also have to go and get your certificate. You go into a little pilgrim's office and they say, why did you do this? And you fill in a form and they give you a certificate with your name in Latin. And the gentleman who gave me mine, he was Scottish actually, and he said, so Nancy, why did you do this? So I told him why I did it. And he was so nice to me. I said, please don't be nice to me because I'm going to cry. And he was absolutely lovely. And he himself had been doing it every year since 2004. And then he decided that it was silly to keep coming and going, and he sold up everything, and he's come to live in Santiago.
Fantastic. What a story.
So for some people, that's how it ends. Yes. But they say that it's not an end, it's a beginning.